I'm a little bit surprised at how much love the show's getting, because it's not a bad show, but it's not like something that's like so good that I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see the next episode. I feel like it's better than pretty much most of what we get. And in relationship to that, it's like mind-blowingly good, right?
Right. That's the problem.
Yeah, but to me, it's just like I'm like, I feel like I'm watching a new season of The Sopranos when I'm watching the show.
Oh darn!
And I was just kind of a casual fan of Soprano. I thought that was an overrated show as well. But I want to get Mr. Random's take on the Penguin. I know you probably haven't watched it because you're too busy suffering through Rings of Power. But what's your take on the viewing numbers, which basically came out as like close to 6 million viewers in 4 days for the premiere of the Penguin?
Yeah, like you say, I haven't had chance to actually watch the show, although I did see the was it just called the Batman, the Robert Pattinson one, which is where so I'm familiar with the character, and I guess it's interesting enough that they're making a show of him. I'm honestly very surprised that it is at all successful. But if it is as good as people are saying that it is, then I'm very happy to hear that it is successful. Because honestly, it's kind of reminding me of like the whole Andor scenario. It's like, well, this might be a hot take because I'm not too clued in on the whole Batman universe, but who cares about the Penguin? Is that a hot take?
I honestly think it's kind of funny that I think mainly it's because nobody really watched Gotham before, that they haven't noticed that the story is basically the same storyline. Now, I haven't watched it, but from everything everybody said, I'm like, everything you're explaining to me is basically what Gotham was. And
I haven't watched it.
I didn't like the Batman at all. I know everybody knows that. I don't understand why they spent so much money to make Colin Farrell look like Richard Kind and basically be Tony Soprano.
Right.
Like, okay, cool. Is it Batman, though, without Batman? Okay, I don't know. I mean, I guess at the end of the day, I think people are just desperate for something like The Sopranos more so than something like The Penguin. But The Penguin just happened to fit that, and Colin Farrell's a good actor. We always knew that. I mean, that's not a, big, huge, whoa. It's just Hollywood's always kind of kept him kind of like this because he's always been kind of a bad boy. So they've never really kind of given him any kind of praise or anything like. Because I remember a couple of years back, like a decade back, there was all these stories about like why Colin Farrell's never been nominated for Oscars, yet he's this great actor, and it's because he's an alcoholic playboy. That's why. It's like, yeah, he's fucking Irish. What the hell do you expect? Like, I mean, that's normal. Like, so yeah, no, I'm not surprised. Yet I mean, I think there's supposed to be some Trump allegory that some people are missing, but it's mainly just because the people that make it see Trump one way and the people that are watching it see Trump another, so they're not drawing the comparison. But somebody was saying something about like the whole thing is supposed to be some Trump allegory. It was in Time magazine.
I don't see that.
So yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I said, it's probably because we don't see Trump the way they see Trump.
They try to put
I think they see Trump at anytime anytime someone's being bad. Like it's going to be Trump. So
it was basically drawing the parallel to this ugly monster who's trying to gain power and who's really just somebody who's laughed at and and all that kind of stuff. So it's like, yeah, they see him as this.
That's a bit of a stretch, I think.
Yeah,
it was in Time magazine. I'm just telling you what's there.
That speaks for itself if it's in Time magazine.
Well, the thing about the Penguin character, and I tried watching Gotham, but I couldn't make it past season 2 because it was just so stupid. But the character of the Penguin in the comic books, at least when I was reading comic books, what made him so interesting is that he really was kind of like a traditional mob boss, but he was like so intelligent that he found ways to kind of like work around Batman as opposed to like, directly confronting him, like having like fist fights and stuff like that. It was more of a pragmatic relationship where like they were playing like 4D chess with each other and they kept trying to like one up each other. It was very rare that him and Penguin would actually fight. And so he was closer to like a criminal mastermind than someone like the Joker, who was just like a homicidal maniac. And they could find common ground occasionally, but they were always enemies. And so this idea of the rise to power of the Penguin to become like the head gangster in Gotham, I think is an interesting idea for a series. Go ahead,
and
Mr. Butters.
I just want to know when he's going to get his helicopter umbrella.
They're setting that up though. I will say that like they have already in this first episode. That's why I really do like this episode so much, because one could argue about story elements here and there. I guess for me, it's that even if this story element has maybe been done before, it was not done this well. And I think that is the difference, is that you have fantastic actors who are doing these characters, I would say, lots of justice. Like they are just fully embracing their characters. They're fully diving into it. And that's, I think, why people are enjoying it. I totally agree with that criticism of why would you spend this much money to put Colin Farrell in makeup to look like an entirely different person? I think that is a completely ridiculous thing to do, but they did. And the fact is, he does not feel at all either in look or in tone or anything. Like, there's only a few moments in the show where I'm like, oh yeah, I can see Colin Farrell in there. Mm-hmm. Everything else, I'm like, who is this guy? Like, this could be a completely different actor, for all I know, which is, I think, speaks to, one, how effective and well done the makeup is, but then also how great Colin Farrell's performance is in the actual film, in the actual show so far itself. Now, it's still very early, so it's still hard. It's going to be hard to tell exactly how this, whether this goes the distance in any way. But I do think that it is already laying the groundwork, as you just said, of him being this manipulative person who can do things, say things, and be able to work through and work with the people, right, the scum that he's dealing with ultimately, and how he can basically outthink them. And I think that he's doing a great job of that.
I think like the makeup and the prosthetics, like that whole conversation, I think it's quite interesting because it means that what you're able to do is get an extremely accomplished actor like Colin Farrell, but you're able to then almost cheat and get the unknown actor element into his performance, so that when you're looking at him, like you say, you're not seeing, oh, it's Colin Farrell. You can just completely get absorbed and be like, who the hell is this guy? Like this, you see the character rather than the actor.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me just throw this out to the panel to kind of wrap things up for this segment, which is basically, we have House of the Dragons, we have Penguin, we have the upcoming Dune miniseries on HBO Max, and HBO Max seems to be putting out original series that have a different level of quality than what we've seen from something like Disney and Amazon, right? Amazon has some good quality stuff.
Because they've been doing it for a couple decades already with HBO. And don't forget that these are also on HBO proper as well. They're not just Max exclusives.
Right.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that it seems like Max and HBO Max, or Warner Brothers Discovery, however you want to refer to them, just seems to have a better quality standard for the writing and like the cinematography and stuff like that than something like Disney or Amazon does, or even Netflix, because Netflix is hit or miss as well. So I want to get everyone's take on that before we wrap things up. Do you think that HBO is basically like worth the subscription versus like all these other like streaming platforms
versus everything else in comparison? I mean, absolutely. I would
HBO's been putting out quality stuff like this since The Sopranos came out.
That's what I was basically getting at. Yeah, so, like, I mean, this is old hat for them. Yeah.
Yeah, this is nothing new.
And also, like, the fact that this show is better than The Batman, like, because that was a movie also I was not a big fan of either. I thought that the first 20 minutes was cool, but everything after that, I was like, kind of lost interest, and the end especially was awful. But this show, first episode, is already in and of itself better than the entire Batman movie.